Hi, my name's Mark Hayward. This is the Absolute Business Mindset podcast. I am a corporate employee with an entrepreneurial mindset, and here are my thoughts, ideas, and comments. So I'm going to talk to you today about this podcast about an expert. So I'm going to start on thinking about experts and sort of the flip side of what experts are generalists. So we're going to cover these 2 points here today, and I think it's an interesting analysis because a lot of people would initially think they should become experts, and there's no doubt that they add a lot of value, which I'll talk about in a minute. But equally, generalists and people that don't have expertise, there's equally experts that have sway with generalists as well. So there's no one fits all, and there's no particular expertise that fits all. But let's try and explore it, and we'll see what your thoughts and your comments are afterwards. So experts, in my opinion, are key to a lot of businesses, especially knowledge-based industries. So if you take, for example, it might be the financial industry, it might be the consultancy business, it might be anything that requires people to gather knowledge or learn from degrees or masters or PhDs and gather in that expertise is really important for a lot of businesses. There is no two ways about it that without these experts you wouldn't be able to function, because there is a reliance on that specialist knowledge. So, in my opinion, experts can give a huge amount of insight into businesses. So, I work in a tax consultancy business, and we have our specialists in tax. Now, these guys are incredibly important to our business. There is no doubt about that. They bring value every day that they walk in. But equally, a lot of the specialists, a lot of the experts, do not necessarily make partner, because there's a different skill set to be able to be a partner, and we can sort of touch base with leaders and generalism in a little bit. So don't get me wrong, we do need them, and they play an important part. But don't be deluded that that is the only course of action to be hugely successful. It depends on what your level of success is. I've talked about people that are like working class and middle class are the sort of rich class, which are the partners of our businesses. They're the owners of big companies. They're the people who own big startups. These people might come from a specialism, but equally they have to very quickly learn how to do sales and marketing to be able to use those more general skills, because they're what are important as well. So I think we just have to just accept that generalism is the way forward if you want to be a leader, but some people don't want to be leaders. So with these experts, so my last sort of point about experts for now is that you've got to accept there's a limitation on being an expert, because you only see things through a very, very narrow lens. So people that might, so my business is global mobility tax, and there are people that are global mobility tax specialists that know how to set up various things within the tax arena, and they have that great knowledge, but when they approach a situation they only think of it through that lens. And I think it's important for us just to accept it. It's not necessarily a criticism. It's just a sort of, let's just be pragmatic about this and just understand that if you are an expert, you are only going to see things through the area of your expertise. You won't consider other avenues. And in a team, you need your specialists, and in your team, you need your generalists. So that they are equally important within a team. Just flipping it on its side. So what I was just touching on base a little while ago was that generalists are often your leaders. So people who can have soft skills, speaking to internal people and with colleagues and with peers and with bosses, and people who can do sales and marketing that can speak to clients and deliver a high standard, high quality to their clients. They might not be the doers, because you've got your experts who are your doers, but you've got people who are your doers. So I don't think it's really, there's not really that much to dwell on there. It's essentially that you can become an expert and then learn your soft skills, learn your generalist skills. Mark Zuckerberg is a prime example. He was a real in-depth coder, but has been able to transfer those skills into lots of different areas, and sales and marketing are things that he now can do, and leadership and management are different things, but equally are important. To be a manager or a leader, you need to be able to do both things, and these are soft skills. These are skills that you pick up over experience or get taught by mentors to be able to deliver. These are not things that you can learn necessarily in a book, although saying that, there are lots of leadership books, and I've listened to a few which have been incredibly useful. So that is true, but I think you just have to take into consideration that to be a leader and to be an expert are actually two defining different things. So to be an expert and to be happy and content to be an expert, there's a lack of interest to learn something new. Now, this is going to come over as quite critical, and if there's anyone that's listening to this podcast who is an expert in any given subject, who really enjoy what they do, they're going to take that quite offensively. But it's not meant to be. What it's meant to do, you might, in your niche, keep updating your knowledge depending on regulation, legislation, or changes in the industry, or whatever it is. You might need to tweak and change and understand slightly differently. But you won't want to sit down and do an online management course, because you'll be like, oh, it's so boring. I would much prefer to be able to crunch these numbers, do this code, read this legislation, whatever it is. That's your niche. And there's nothing wrong with starting at a niche, because that gives you a great grounding. But the ability to be an expert and then move on and keep learning about new areas of business will make the greatest combination. So those guys who start as experts, and then if they're building a business or if they're building a product or service, whatever it is, and you want to learn other things to be able to deliver a better service, then that is your winning formula, in my opinion. A lot of people don't need to be an expert, but a lot of people the greatest Elon Musk, he's an expert, he's an engineer, but he is able to transfer those skills to management, to leadership, as well as having a engineering hat on as well. A statement that I want to just put out there, which there may be some controversy in it, but not for me. I've talked about this before on my video blogs as well, is that the best possible way is to learn, always keep on learning. And that's learning new skills, that's learning new subjects, that's learning new areas. And that's learning from mentors, that's learning from reading, listening to books, courses, bosses might give you some mentorship, but you've got to keep on moving on and learning new skills to be able to be truly effective and really, really perceptive and brilliant. So I would say that it's important that you guys find a mentor if you want to catapult. So this is the other thing. A lot of experts are just very happy with where they are. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're wrong for wanting that and doing that, because a lot of people have then their expectations are reduced, and they're like, well, I don't want to be a partner, but what I do want is I want to be a senior manager. I want to be able to have a great deal of knowledge. I want to be valued. I want to be appreciated. I don't necessarily need a huge increase in salary every year on year because of promotions. But I want to do my job. I want to love my job. I want to love what I do and get up every morning and love it and do it. Hell no, I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're wrong. What I'm going to tell you is you're not going to be a leader, and that might be fine for you. And if that's fine for you, good. You're not going to get a criticism from me, because everyone's expectations are different, and some people want to be leaders and some people just want to be experts. So I would say it's really not something you I think you sort of get to these sorts of situations when you're a little bit older. In your 20s you want to learn something. In your 30s, you're trying to establish yourself. Maybe in your 40s, you then start, or late 30s maybe, mid to late 30s into your 40s, you might start making the choice whether you want to be an expert or a generalist who wants to be a leader, learn management, learn leadership. I think that's generally. Now, obviously, if you start your own business and it goes viral and you can be there at 25, 23, 21 these days if you start your business early. I was talking more in a corporate environment, because things just go slower. Things go slower in the corporate environment, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But you always need to just take check. And I think a lot of people don't think about this enough. It's sort of self-awareness and sort of understand what they want. They might not get a promotion and not get a big pay rise and be really, really frustrated by it. But equally, they don't want to do what they need to do to get to that next level. That's a self-awareness problem, which I see. And I think people should just be aware of that and just really sort their lives out, to be honest. That sounds quite critical, but you can't be unhappy but equally not want to do what you need to do to get to the next level. You either want it enough to do to get to the next level, or you don't want it enough. So I find that incredibly frustrating, and I think enough people need to be able to just be perceptive and understand themselves and understand the system, understand working in a corporate environment, that if you want to go to the next level, you've got to do certain tasks. You've got a year to prove yourself. Sometimes it takes longer, but you've got that period to be able to prove to yourself to get to the next level. If you're not willing to do it, then just go, I'm happy where I am. Now, I've deliberately paused there because that's important for people to understand. And you might be in your 40s and you haven't realised that. So listen just one more time. If you're a senior manager and every year you don't get promoted and you don't get a huge pay rise, you're not working towards that next level of director. That's okay. But don't complain about it, because if you really wanted to get to director, you'd do what you need to do. Now, some of it's down to skill, some of it's down to perception, some of it's down to judgment, but all this can be learned. Learned by experience, by mentors, by bosses, by people helping you out and giving you bits of advice. But you can do it. You're only the person that's putting your constraint on yourself. So just if you hear this and this has a resonance to you, I think you'd be a happier person by stopping and realising that actually what you want to be is an expert, and that might mean going home and spending great time with your kids. Leaders find that difficult, not impossible, but find that difficult because of the commitments there are, and maybe you're not willing to do those sorts of commitments. But please, if you're listening to this, just really realise that that's what you want to be, and you don't want to be a partner. You'll be happier, I promise. I'm pleading to you. Self-awareness, self-realisation, realise where you fit into as a cog in the whole wheel, and if that's what you want, do it and enjoy it. Have a better life by having that self-awareness. Anyway, I'll stop there. Best leaders, the generalists, know how to do marketing and sales. They're the people that needs to go out and talk to clients. If you're going to be a partner, you've got to sell. You've got to go out, build relationships, be with people, engage with people, clients, employees, colleagues, peers. You got to really get on with people. It's a people business. Most of these sorts of knowledge-based businesses are based on a certain element of knowledge or skill, but it's so much down to people. It's just, if you don't like people, don't push yourself. You can obviously push yourself and achieve those things, but if you don't want to do it, then really don't be a people person. Some people are made for working with people and being with people. Some people are built to work on spreadsheets, code. Again, self-awareness, people. Work out what you want to do and do it and enjoy it. So the other thing I was just going to say is an appetite to be able to pick up something new is incredibly important. So if you get brought on a new product or a new service, it's beyond your current sphere of knowledge. A short window, I've had experience of having a short window of being able to learn something very quickly and needing to stand in front of people and talk to people, and be a kind of an expert quite quickly. Now, that is a skill, and that's basically learning. I attribute my ability to be able to do this is by listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, listening to mentors, learning from them, always wanting to learn. So then when someone offers an opportunity, which is a new product, a new experience, new skills, new understanding, I'm like, yeah, why not? I can do that. I've learned before, and you pick that up quickly. So always be open to a new product there's an element of specialization when you're coming to sales, and you've got to know your stuff. But equally, when these opportunities come, which are sort of got to nail it, you got to learn quickly, and that is less about being an expert. That's more about having fluidity and sort of malleability and sort of be able to learn and understand things quickly to be able to deliver sort of expertise when you're explaining, knowledge sharing, when you're validating in the market, when you're talking to colleagues, bringing people along the journey, your bosses along the journey. So that's really important as well. So just on a sort of conclusion, I would just want to say experts, incredibly important to knowledge-based industries, but they will never be leaders if you stay as a expert. So if you're an expert and you want to be an expert and you don't want to become a leader, enjoy being an expert. If you want to be a generalist, if you want to be a leader, a manager, you need to have different skills than being an expert. Both incredibly valuable to the business, and both are needed. So don't mix my thoughts and my ideas. They're both needed and both critically important. So that's where we're going to wrap up. Just a couple of things. So on Twitter, @MarkHaywood169. Check me out. I've got I play some of these podcasts. I've got some quotes. I've got some ideas, sharing some ideas on video blogs and stuff with you as well. So check me out on Twitter. YouTube, there's a bunch of my videos, my video blogs. By all means, log on there and check me out. Mark Hayward Coaching on a search will probably find me. Obviously, we've got this podcast. We've got a Facebook private members group, which not many people have joined up. Well, no one's joined up yet, but equally, if you'd want to find me on that, it's Absolute Business Mindset on Facebook. It's a private members group. If it kicks off, then it'd be great. I can start sharing some of these podcasts with videos, and happy to do that. So if you fancy checking me out on Facebook on the private members group, then by all means look up, apply, and I'll more than likely accept, and we can start getting that moving. Last couple of things I want to say is please subscribe to my podcast. I'm on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify. Obviously, on those mediums, especially iTunes, if you'd like to leave me a review or an out of 5, then love to see your comments, love to give you a review. I'd open to hear some of your thoughts and ideas about what I'm doing. So subscribe and download my podcast. And lastly, if you've enjoyed this and you've got something from it, obviously give feedback, but tell someone about the podcast. Tell a friend. Tell a family member. Tell someone you meet in the pub and have a good chat with. Go out there and tell people about it, because I'd love to get a bigger following. Let's beef up my numbers, and we can keep doing this because I love it. So thank you very much, and speak to you soon. Cheers.